Oh shit, I'm gonna be late again. Oh, okay, where's my phone?
Damn, I'm looking good.
You know, I think I've neglected an aspect of my reviews. Lately, I've covered a lot of remakes and compared them to their original versions, as well as new titles that don't seem to garner a lot of press. But you know what I haven't touched in a while? That's right, Kusoge. Well, rev up those fryers, because I've got a doozy. When I'm not playing a game to make a review, I tend to go back to playing the Devil May Cry series. They're some of the best examples of character action games on the market, and I like the idea of a character who's part demonic that fights demons. It's probably a carryover from my edgy teen phase that was really into Hellsing. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I've become a bit of a gourmand when it comes to video games featuring demonic protagonists. I've gone through all of the DMC games, both Bayonetta's, and like I said, those are mostly the cream of the crop. I think you all know what my stance is on the DMC reboot.
Put a spin on this.
I've also played Pumpkin Jack, which features a demonic villain protagonist, and Infernal, which I covered last year. So I've seen the highs and lows when it comes to this premise, and I can now fully introduce a new low to the concept, the ludonarrative experience known as Devil's Hunt.
Hey! Leave that something alone! You were one ugly motherfucker. Hey, back off! You do that one more time, I'll shove that stick right up your ass.
Devil's Hunt is a 2019 title that is 25% a character action game and 75% a walking simulator. Don't worry, I'll explain that in due time. The first thing I want to say about Devil's Hunt is that, out of all the mid to garbage tier demon games I've played, it's the most busted title of the bunch. But it's the one I've enjoyed the most, simply because of the buggy content, the half-baked premise, and the early access feel of the game.
Stylish. Kinda empty, but still stylish.
To establish just how busted this game is, I'm going to have to reference other examples of games featuring demonic protagonists where appropriate. Just like I did with Infernal, I'm going to have to use the Devil May Cry games as my control. And just like with Infernal, comparing Devil's Hunt to DMC is extremely unfair, but this game was released in September 2019, a full 6 months after DMC 5, so they're contemporaries for better or worse. Devil's Hunt stars Desmond Pierce, the most unfortunately named protagonist, as he's the unholy union of two milquetoast Ubisoft protagonist names, thus creating the absolute milquetoastest of characters to ever grace my Steam library.
What? Impossible. No ordinary executor could have entered this motel and survived. Now who are you?
Yeah, I've come for your soul.
Desmond has it all. A palatial Miami home designed by David Cage, with a pair of dartboards placed on either side of his bedroom door, so that when he walks out during parties, he's guaranteed a face full of darts. A great job working at his dad's real estate business.
My fault? My fault? Sure, yeah, okay, asshole. Sure, that's fine.
Hey, whoa! You okay there, buddy? Easy. Watch you don't break that thing.
And a beautiful fiancée, ready to settle down with him, even though she dislikes his hobby of fighting in underground boxing matches held at posh nightclubs. Unfortunately, Desmond experiences one hell of a bad day, with one L stacked on top of another.
Kid, can you hear me?
Wake up!
Desmond. Will you ever be anything other than a burden? First, I'm cleaning up the mess you made of my company, and now I'm getting your ass handed to you in front of all my friends and colleagues. The only good is your mother didn't live long enough to witness this failure.
Sir, please step aside so I can do my job. You can talk to the patient when I'm finished with him.
There's nothing left to talk about.
You're going to be all right. Ice it and keep it clean. Dizziness should wear off soon. Who was that prick?
That was my father.
Desmond! Shit, it's not what you think, okay?
Where do you think you're going?
Desmond! Listen, okay? It's not what you think.
You're dead, motherfucker!
Rather than live with the fact that he's now a beta cuck, Desmond drives his expensive sports car off a bridge and ends it all. Crawling out of the wreckage, Desmond encounters a man who must have spent all of his money on Nero's DMC-5 coat because he can't even afford an undershirt. Mr. Shirtless takes Desmond to Brazil, where he's greeted by the locals.
What the fuck was that? I'm getting out of here.
Okay, so he's actually in hell and meets Lucifer, who's probably modeled after Patrick Wilson. Desmond seems to be important in Lucifer's eyes and is offered a chance to go back to Earth, so long as he does a couple of jobs for the devil. Desmond, showing off his business acumen, signs his life away to Lucifer without even looking at the terms of the contract.
You didn't realize you chose a side when you signed the pact?
You too? Listen, I signed a pact with death, not Lucifer. I'm not that stupid. There's things even I won't do.
Desmond crawls out of his own grave and finds himself in a blood-borne cemetery. Seriously, this place goes on forever.
Hey, I need your car. You can keep your clothes and your boots.
Turns out the COVID-19 outbreak happened while Desmond was dead because everyone's already wearing masks in public. Working for the devil has some perks, as now Desmond has fuck hands McMike powers whenever enemies are around. After borrowing his new friend's car, Desmond visits his old friend and greets him in a way that isn't creepy at all, you guys.
Help myself. I hope you don't mind.
What the fuck? Desmond? What?
You look like you've seen a ghost, Embry. Not happy to see me alive, huh?
No, how is this even possible? You're not alive! You're not!
And how about we skip the dumb soap opera lines? You don't know how I'm here, but you know exactly why I'm here. You betrayed me. You lied. You fucked my fiancé.
That wasn't me! I know how that sounds, okay? Desmond, please let me explain.
I'm done with your lies. I'm here for revenge. So get ready. This is happening, my friend.
Despite having cool new demon powers, Desmond's first thought is to take a knife and stab his friend with it over and over. Now that Desmond's back in town, he's stuck working for the devil, and it turns out his supervisor is the guy who beat him in the boxing match earlier in the game. While doing these dirty jobs, Desmond learns that he's important because he might have the same powers as another person who rebelled against Lucifer, the Great Warrior, Muriel. Anyways, Desmond ends up bringing the same kind of work ethic to his new job as he had when he worked for his dad, which disappoints and frustrates everyone around him. Angels appear to troll Desmond during one job.
Who the fuck are you and why did you get in the way?
I'm an angel, and, well, I am an angel.
Which sends him back to hell, and he has to do another dirty job for one of Lucifer's brothers in order to get back to Earth, which means that this game operates on Little Nicky rules in terms of how easy it is to travel between planes of existence. Desmond fights angels, rebels against Lucifer, learns some new things about his family, and decides to pursue the neutral path. And that's Devil's Hunt. That was a lot, right? I was originally going to go in-depth with the plot and poke holes here and there, but that would have amounted to a 2-hour-long video, and by then you would have probably dropped it and missed out on why I like this game. The tutorial level is a great vertical slice of the game. You'll know exactly what kind of experience you're about to endure. The game begins with Desmond waking up in a destroyed building. The game and Desmond are deliberately vague about where the tutorial takes place, as they only refer to the area as the city.
The whole city is burning.
This place doesn't become important until much later in the game. Most of the game involves walking Desmond down extremely linear corridors and occasionally interacting with these diamond-shaped prompts. I watched the Devil May Cry 5 speedrun a while back, and one of the people on the bench complained that DMC5 lacked the same kind of exploration that past games had, with level design amounting to fight rooms and hallways leading up to fight rooms. While I understand where they're coming from, DMC5 can pull this off because 1. The combat alone carries the game, and 2. The exploration of past games could be downright tedious with frustrating backtracking for no real purpose. Remember this room? Exactly. Devil's Hunt is basically what would happen if DMC5 didn't have anything. Desmond can climb up and drop from ledges, squeeze through gaps, and open doors, and use teleport pads that make it look like he's Virgil using Grim Grips in DMC4 and 5. But all of that is done by a button press. When combat does occur, it is in no way as satisfying as DMC5. Light and heavy attacks are mapped to R1 and R2 respectively, and the face buttons allow Desmond to use skills that you can assign in the skills menu. Skills are unlocked by spending the souls that Desmond collects with every kill. There are 3 skill trees in the game: Executioner, Unholy, and Void. Executioner covers Desmond's demonic powers. He's got a range attack that's visually similar to Nero's Maximum Bet, an area of effect ground attack, and a leaping attack that throws Desmond at 3 enemy targets in quick succession. Underneath each skill tree are combos that Desmond can unlock with souls. Desmond unlocks the other skill trees as the story progresses. These trees reflect the 3 different combat styles in the game. That's right, Devil's Hunt has style switching. You can even switch styles by pressing left, up, or right on the D-pad, like Dante. Here's the thing about styles. There's no functional difference between any of them. The story makes a big deal about how Desmond needs to acquire the Unholy style in order to effectively fight angels, but I've switched over to different styles during those fights, and I was able to kill them with either red or purple arms. The only real difference that styles bring to the table are the different skills in each tree, and the visual effect of chaining combos. Executioner has the basic set of punches and kicks, Unholy replaces melee hits with sword swipes, and Void manifests a large purple fist stand that follows Desmond's hits like Nero's Devilbringer. Of the 3, Unholy is objectively the best style because most of its skills comprise of area of effect attacks, One skill straight up heals Desmond for free, and the final skill summons a turret to soften up enemies while you lay into them. I only ever switched back to Executioner or Void when I used up all of my unholy skills and wanted to do free damage while waiting for my cooldowns to reset. When you collect enough souls, a meter underneath Desmond's health bar fills up. Pressing down on the D-pad activates Desmond's Executioner form. He's invincible to all damage, but the trade-off is that his only form of attack is to rush to the nearest enemy and do a Berserker Claw animation until it dies. You repeat this process until all of the enemies are dead or the meter runs out. Here's where I gotta give it to Devil's Hunt over Infernal, and even the DMC reboot. If you're gonna feature a protagonist with demon powers, give him a demonic super form. The only indication that Ryan from Infernal had demon powers was that his right hand would ignite when you charged up a shot, and Dante's Devil Trigger was just a palette swap of his standard form. I think it sucks that the Executioner form can only do one attack instead of just letting Desmond do the exact same abilities while being invincible, and I think that his design is too samey compared to other Executioners. I get that he's supposed to be just one of many of his kind, but he's already got RGB lighting on his demon arms, and he's supposed to be a special kind of demon anyways, so I think his design could be better distinguished from his peers. This is the entire loop of the game. You walk around these twisting, winding paths that pretend to be anything but hallways, interact with the occasional button prompt, and fight enemies in the larger arenas. The game switches from walking mode to combat mode as soon as you enter an arena, with Desmond activating his demon arms. I don't like this dichotomy of mechanics because, when I play a character action game, I like being able to try out combos outside of actual combat. This doesn't matter much in Devil's Hunt, as the combat is neither satisfying nor does it change in any meaningful way when you switch styles, but it would still be a nice feature all the same. If that weren't bad enough, this game's performance is rough. I can run most modern games fairly well on medium with the occasional hitches, but I swear, this game was gaslighting me into thinking I had a potato of a rig with its frame rate. I don't think I've ever played a game this unoptimized before. I've had crashes to desktop from other titles like the Destroy All Humans remake, but I can understand why that game would crash, because it's trying to render large-scale destruction while drawing like over 100 assets in a given level. All Devil's Hunt has to render are hallways and 4 to 5 enemies, along with Desmond during combat, but the game is struggling to run at a stable frame rate. So now that I've thoroughly savaged Devil's Hunt, why do I keep coming back to this game and keep showing it off to friends? It is the video game equivalent of a movie you would see featured on Best of the Worst. While most protagonists are cast in a sympathetic or positive light, Desmond Pierce has no redeeming qualities. He's a trust fund baby living off of his father's money, but he can't even do his job right.
You said it was a good deal too. You were happy to sign, you knew the risks. But now it's not gone our way, it's my decision. It's me that gets blamed. Come on.
I said that because I trusted you, Desmond. I gave you free rein because I hoped you'd learn something. I should have known it'd be too much for you. It was a mistake. And I won't make it again.
Don't you think you're being a little dramatic?
I should tell you to make this right, but I can see you wouldn't know how. And I know, letting you try would just be another risk to the future of the company. It'd be like offering a soul to Lucifer himself.
Even when he's pursuing something he technically should be good at, his opponent just buffs himself with demon power and wails on him. This is his Virgil, by the way. Most of their interactions is Desmond making empty threats that this guy never seriously acknowledges, and I was actually cheering him on.
He is your immediate superior and commander-in-chief of all the Miami District Executors.
Hell no!
Hell said yes. You're lucky Sawyer is here to save you. If we fought, you would lose. Are you sure that he really is the one?
Did you find him?
It is not fucking easy, but I got to one who knows. She is from the other ones. She's...
You motherfucker! You had one job and you fucked it up!
Now we're equal. Fair fight. Come at me, you piece of shit!
We'll never be equal.
Even when the game's plot turns to have Desmond take a stand to reject both heaven and hell, he still comes off extremely boneheaded in the process. He doesn't wake up to justice like Sparta. He just hates being everyone's bitch boy. And it's not just the game's plot that kept me going. Some of the bugs in this game are so funny that they made the experience for me. Look what happens when Desmond arrives in hell for the first time.
Hey! Leave that something alone!
This always happens to me in this game. I don't know why the game keeps crashing here or why Desmond ends up T-posing in this area, but I have to skip this cutscene or risk a crash to desktop. My favorite level starts in this cafe where Desmond is ready to do another job, sees his ex-girlfriend in a booth talking to his dad, and then decides to follow her to make sure she gets home safely. Right after Desmond exits the cafe, a fight triggers. For the most part, if you move past an obstacle in the game, it's a one-way path, but you can hop back over this barricade and return to the cafe, even though there's nothing there to collect. But check out what happens when I jump back over the barricade. I can trigger this on command whenever I play this segment. If that weren't enough, there's a part later on where Desmond is walking on rooftops, stalking his ex. The game expects you to follow the path and not look around, but you definitely should, because then you see this happen directly in your line of sight. These NPCs have a set walk cycle that starts from the end of the street, around this corner, and then they step off into the void and teleport back. The thing is, all the devs had to do to mask this was to have the NPCs walk around the corner out of Desmond's field of view. I don't understand why they didn't do that. There's a part in Angel's headquarters. Yeah, Angels have a business front here like they did in Infernal, where a penthouse area has 2 stories, but there's nothing upstairs besides a collectible. However, if you run to the far corner of the 2nd story room, there's just no collision on the floor and you'll drop down to the 1st story. How was that overlooked? I know I gave a quick and dirty synopsis of the game before, but I have to go into detail about the last half of the game's plot, because it's part of the reason why I enjoyed the game.
Don't care.
Besides his Virgil, Desmond gets another handler to give him jobs, this time in the form of a big titty goth GF. Before Desmond decides to take up her job, he wants her to give him some answers.
You can have 3.
Out of the way.
How do you do that?
He ordered 3 glasses. We order 3 glasses. That's the German 3. The other looks odd.
Yeah, if it wasn't obvious before, this game wasn't made in America. When Desmond goes to fight the Angels to seek for their help, he finds out that they saved his best friend after Desmond killed him. It turns out that the Angels want to use Desmond in the same way as Lucifer does, and Desmond decides to choose a neutral path and escape with his friends. Before he can escape, he has to fight the angel who killed him the first time, who happens to be another Virgil for Desmond. For some reason, absorbing this angel's soul causes Desmond to teleport to the unnamed city at the start of the game. The city looks like it's somewhere in the Middle East, and I swear I read somewhere in the game from one of its various pieces of collectible lore that it's supposed to be Jerusalem, but this event is never brought up again. Like, no one ever talks about how an entire city was attacked by demons. Desmond gets captured like it's Metal Gear Solid, breaks out, runs into his mentor who's constantly disappointed by his life choices, but sends him out of hell because he's sympathetic to Desmond for some reason. And it turns out that Desmond's dad also made a deal with the devil. This is how he was able to be so successful in his business. I like this plot twist because it explained why his dad was at the club where Desmond lost his boxing match. If his opponent was a demon, then the place must be a front for demonic activity. Your mentor sends you off to talk with your dad, who finally shows you some respect after finding out that you're looking for Muriel, since he's the only other person who's ever rebelled against Lucifer and survived. But in order to find Muriel, Desmond needs his blood in order to track him. The only place where he can find Muriel's blood is back in Hell, and in order to go back to Hell, Desmond has to return to the Angels and cut a deal with them.
A chair? You think a chair can stop angels?
This is my favorite scene in the game. Desmond convinces the head angel to send him back to Hell to find Muriel's blood in the most secure of places in Hell. Desmond needs to teleport to Hell instead of just dying as he normally does, because doing it this way brings him as close to Muriel's blood as possible without alerting Lucifer. Desmond still gets caught anyways, finally pisses off Lucifer, who up until now has been pretty reasonable with Desmond's antics, and after fighting a non-boss, Desmond runs into his goth GF again, who's also sympathetic to Desmond for some reason, and teleports him out of Hell. While this game is mostly a walking simulator, this segment is like the culmination of all the past walking segments. Desmond can only walk in one direction, and can't backtrack across his desert path. Occasionally, he'll see images of all the people he's known in the game, and what they're doing while he's stuck in Dear Esther. When Desmond reaches the end of the path, he finds out that he's in Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified. Why are we here? This was never set up. The game then shows Desmond's GF and best friend captured by the demons. Desmond teleports in and challenges his Virgil for one last fight. His goth GF handler goads the Virgil into the fight, and this is how the final boss fight starts.
Okay, Savior. Let's dance.
This is a straight duel, no gimmicks, no ads phase, and that's good, but it's also a boss fight in Devil's Hunt, which means that combat is pretty brain dead. Dodge his moves, spam every skill you've unlocked, and cheese the fight by healing and using the turret skill. After beating the big guy, the game ends with Desmond driving off into the sunset with his best friend and GF, talking about how he's gonna find Muriel and take the fight to heaven and hell. That's Devil's Hunt. I've saved you from enduring over 10 hours of middling combat, backtracking, and endless walking segments. Is it worth playing Devil's Hunt to experience a game like I did? No. Good God, no. That's why I did this video. The thing is, even with all of the stuff I had to put up with, the walking segments, the combat, the occasional crashes, the story compelled me with how awkward it was delivered.
Hey!
Desmond? Is it really you?
Alive and kicking.
How are you alive? Who are those people? What did they want from you?
Easy. Easy. I know it's confusing. There's no easy way to explain.
Bastard. I thought you were dead. What are we going to do now?
We're going to open the world.
And how it felt like it was spinning its wheels for like 80% of the playtime. You go back to Hell 4 times in the game, and one of those occasions had you working for one of Lucifer's brothers to break out an inmate in Hell Prison, which reminded me of the prison level in the DMC reboot, where Dante was working with an inmate to get to Bill O'Reilly.
So I say yes, we live. I say no, we die. Bullshit. Don't tell me you believe in this.
I wish it was that simple. There's also Lucifer's child involved.
Lucy has a baby? Planned or accidental?
There's no time for your stupid jokes.
Unfortunately, the boss fight for that chapter wasn't as interesting as in DMC because it involves the weakest charge attack I've ever seen in video games. I don't think I've ever experienced a game like Devil's Hunt before. Infernal was a bad game too, but nothing in Infernal kept me wanting to see more of the game like Devil's Hunt did, with its various bugs and glitches. And while Desmond is absolutely devoid of any personality as a lead protagonist, I actually think I like him more than Dante, because the game has absolutely no respect for his character. DMC tried way too hard to make Dante look cool, and he ends up coming off like Poochie. But Desmond can't get any respect from anyone. Even when his dad changes his tone when talking to his son, it's only because Desmond happens to know someone way cooler. I won't tell you to play Devil's Hunt because it's really not worth playing, but if you do want to sate your curiosity, it's available on Steam for about $14 and goes on sale for less than $5. I don't know how to end this video. I guess that's appropriate because Devil's Hunt also didn't know how to end.